Hello, Angel. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Can I reach out to you? Wonderful. I know that New Year's has a different meaning for different people. For some, it's an exciting time of year. For some, it's just another day. Either way, I'd like to send out some positive intentions towards you and to discuss maybe some mind frames, some mindsets that we might be able to take on for the new year, for it to be a happy, a joyous, and a good one. So firstly, I should ask you if you have any intentions that you'd like to walk into the new year, roll into the new year, swivel into the new year with. Be interested to hear them. And if not, I'm happy to make some suggestions. Although it might seem corny or cheesy, I like the idea of moving into the new year with the mindset of love, of emitting love, projecting love, and also being open to receiving love. Just the idea that we are love, that our fundamental center is a churning, ever living core of love, and that the love that we have is, I guess, endless. I like the idea that if we are walking, rolling, moving love, breathing love, that our batteries will never run out in terms of love we can give to ourselves and the feeling of love towards others. So we may only have so many moments a day and so many interactions and so much energy that we can expend to different activities, but the idea that we can approach our circumstances, situations with love, I think is an appealing one. And I recognize that maybe only those that have reached enlightenment or have really focused a lot of mindfulness and work on having that loving mindset may be truly in that state. But I think it's something that we can try to mimic, walk in, and try to adopt for ourselves. It's not always easy, but if we are loving towards ourselves, for example, we may be able to afford ourselves some more forgiveness and therefore afford forgiveness towards someone else. Doesn't mean we're going to let us treat ourselves badly or other people treat us badly, but it means that we might be a bit more understanding if we have a more loving mind frame that we want to move in the world with. How about moving into the new year with patience? Moving into the new year, being able to wait. Not wait as in we're not acting on our goals, on the things that we need to do, but being okay with being patient and taking time for things to evolve, taking time for results to happen. And perhaps it's possible, as we're being patient, to observe micro changes that may be taking place. We're not always necessarily going to see the seed pop into its final form, the flower, but you can watch as the seed starts to break open and you see the little seedlings sprout. You can see the leaves come up, and as the shoot grows, you have a plant emerging. And it takes time. A big, beautiful oak tree takes time to evolve. And I think it's having patience for the different stages, although it can be exciting and motivating to imagine what we want as the final form. I think slowing down and enjoying the process, knowing that we are doing our best, and I think that would be the next intention, doing our best, or feeling and believing that we are doing their best, saying that to ourselves, I am doing my best, and going forward with that mindset instead of those negative self-talk words of I am this and I am that. I am going to do my best. So before we move on from patience, I think sometimes it can be useful to be patient with those around us. Think about all the times we might feel frustrated that someone's not moving quickly enough in the local market or on the road, or answering a question as quickly as we would like them to, or so on and so on and so on. It may not just have to do with time, but it might be that we're frustrated with a certain outcome, or we're frustrated with various actions that other people have taken, sometimes rightfully so. But I think being able to slow down and have a bit of patience when we've afforded ourselves patience, to be patient with someone else, and even to see the humor in these things, to be able to chuckle and to be amused instead of feeling outraged when it may be appropriate to not be outraged. It might be something that we can actually create a good memory for and have a good story to be able to share about this ridiculous thing that we saw. Although in the moment your emotions are valid to feel frustrated, but instead of shooting our stress and our cortisol through the roof, giving ourselves a bit of a break, to slow down, to be patient, say aye, what a guy, what a gal, what a them. But being able to move on and to keep coasting. So we'll get back. I think the fourth intention we might have is flow, to be like water. So what did I say? What was the next one? I shouldn't bounce around. My intention for myself might be to have greater focus in the year to come. But I think, well, I'll come back to it if I need to. Geez, I'm not even going to edit that out. Why don't we talk about flow? Moving like water, so like patience. We're able to skate, to surf in various situations. It may not be with ease. I've never surfed before, but I imagine that it can be quite the bumpy ride. But I think surfers have some, obviously, knowledge about what is to come, but I don't think they ever know exactly how the wave is going to how the wave pattern is going to transpire. They really just have to be focused, use their training and knowledge, and also be present to take on the wave. You know, it can be a bit of a dangerous feat, so just to be completely aware of your surroundings and the action that you want to take next, that flow, being very stable with our minds, and being also able to move with things as they come and go, being like water, being flexible. Change is something that I remember hearing a survey, or getting a survey, and it said, do you like change? And I said, oh yes, of course I do. And as time went on, I thought that was something that I think I just wanted to say, that I was adaptable and agreed agreeable with change. I can certainly be flexible, but having predictability can be a very comforting thing. So, at least in my experience. And so I recognized, you know what? I do need to be a bit more amenable to changes, in the sense that I can recognize what routines and what actions serve me. But if overall circumstances change, I have to be able to bend with them so that I do not break under the pressure. Breaking under the pressure that can take place with change. So, this is easier said than done. I'm not going to sit on a pedestal and pretend that I'm an expert in this area. Certainly not. But I think it can be a good thing to look at wishing to be flexible. Doesn't mean that we can be loosey-goosey and not caring, or not have a plan that we want to carry out and be dedicated to that. But I think it means that we have, I guess, the ability to maneuver, to change course if need be, or to make minor adjustments, attunements, to have favorable outcomes for ourselves. So, what about the intention of having more magic in day-to-day life? And I think we can tie this into my need for greater focus. But I think being able to focus and look at the smaller things can be an ingredient in finding magic. Slowing down again, sometimes being present, but it's finding pleasure and joy in sometimes the humdrum things of life, but also inventing and finding ways that we can feel invigorated by life when we feel like maybe we have all this open space and we don't know what to do with. Perhaps it's filling in, almost like filling in a bucket or a hole with something interesting or spicy. I highly recommend learning about the process and development of games. And there's a book called Reality is Broken by Jane McGonigal, and I haven't finished it yet, but I really love the way that the author talks about incorporating games in day-to-day life, and even for creating change that we want. It's quite interesting, and she talks about what the pillars are. There's 4 pillars of creating a game, and I believe consent is one. Having a goal, making that goal difficult to achieve, and then having some sort of feedback measure. And I like the analogy she uses of golf. I'm not a golfer myself. It looks incredibly difficult, but the idea is that if somehow we've decided that we want to get a ball in a hole, and we've decided that we want to make this the most difficult thing possible by separating ourselves by miles, kilometers from this hole, and we're using a stick, a club, to swing at the ball and to get it in the hole in only a certain amount of swings, of strokes, of putts. And so, it could seem absurd. Maybe the sillier and the more absurd, the better from the outside. But within these constraints is what the author is saying. I think there's opportunities for creativity. And the constraints, I think, could be time. It could be in the actions that are taken. We make up these rules, in tag, you're it. The rules would be a person is running away or escaping, and the other person is the tagger, the one that reaches out. And maybe you create even more rules after that. Perhaps you can only hop on one foot, or something of that sort, where you're adding a little bit of spice into an everyday activity. So in just everyday things that are happening. Maybe it's putting on some music when you have to do the dishes, or doing chores and dancing, or creating a silly dance when you have to make a meal, or do something that is normally maybe less exciting, but you've decided that you're going to add an element of spiciness to it. It could be all of a sudden just the way that when we're children, and we want to pretend, we want to play adult, and we may pretend that we're a firefighter, or we may pretend that we're at the bank, and all these different scenarios where we get to play. I think it can be fun to play out. I don't know if it would be considered role play, but if it's even if it's a chore, I'm playing doing this activity for my health. Maybe you pretend that you you put on a different hat in order to get yourself through a certain activity that you may not otherwise have a lot of enthusiasm for. So just some thoughts, and of course we can incorporate magic into our relationships. So sometimes I like the idea of having kind of gift baskets, but they don't have to be physical objects for people in our lives that are meaningful for us. It could be knowing that someone you care about likes a certain event, or tickets to something, and you surprise them with that. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be even that you give them a surprise call, and they really appreciate it. But I just knowing, I guess, and experimenting with what might really cause a light and a feeling of love and appreciation to crop up for our loved ones, I think is a really fun exercise. And I think you feel, or at least I have felt magical, that feeling of magic, both by perhaps creating magic for someone else, and then also feeling like it is special to go through that process. It's just an idea. But finding magic, I think there's a misconception that magic happens. But if you think about the magician, they really hone their craft and learn how to perform these outstanding tricks, performances. So it may take practice, it may take fumbling, and sometimes it may not land, it may not hit when we try to create magic, and that's okay. Keep trying. Keep trying. Keep trying. I like that. I think persistence, along with patience, they can be different things. Persistence doesn't necessarily mean going along with something we no longer want to do. By all means, if something is no longer serving you, you should let it go. You can let it go. It's your choice. But with patience, knowing that consistency is rewarding, finding perhaps magic in something that we need to do on a regular basis. But I think going into the new year and feeling like whatever it is we want to achieve, that it can be done brick by brick, one day at a time, many days, over many, many days, we'll eventually be able to build up what we're looking to achieve. So I wish for us to go into this year with the intention that if our hearts are yearning for something, if we desire a certain outcome, if we desire a goal to be met, that we give ourselves patience, but we also can give ourselves permission to be steadfast, to be consistent about what we want to accomplish, knowing that for many things, for many kind of larger concepts, it will take regular dedication. You know, we may be able to, if we want to be organized, for example, we may be able to organize a drawer or a closet or a section of our environments in a day or less. But to be an organized person, or rather than saying an organized person, to practice organization on a regular basis, it requires, that drawer is going to get cluttered in no time, trust me. But if we practice organization, it is really sinking into those skills and learning, refining what works for us at this time, practicing emptying our pockets when we come home, if it's organizing our receipts, if it's figuring out what it is we find manageable. And it might be that on a weekly basis you need to plan out what your tidying or cleaning responsibilities are going to be for the end of the week. It may be that if you have certain health outcomes, it's knowing what you need to do in advance. So for sleep hygiene, for example, knowing not just when you need to go to bed, but also what are the things leading up to bedtime, and then to allow yourself to have a restful sleep, and then to get up in the morning and to know what we need to have set aside for ourselves to have a successful morning. It can feel complicated, and I don't by any means want to set off overwhelm, but it's this idea that there may be a bigger picture, and that is in terms of time. I'm not sure I'm making sense. There may be a bigger picture in what we're trying to accomplish. Each day we can take manageable bites, chunks, but rather than putting so much pressure on ourselves, I think we have to, get the splits in 1 week. Maybe it's we want to have more mobility and longevity in our bodies, and so we're going to pursue on a regular basis, a consistent basis, what will help us to be more mobile. And maybe we'll achieve those splits for sure. I shouldn't say maybe, you for sure do the training if you want to, but do you want the splits just for 1 week and not practice that mobility and move on to the next goal? If so, then that's perfectly fine. But if you are wanting to achieve the splits, for example, what would you need to do in order to get there safely, to get there in a way that's sustainable, and so that you could do the splits forever? That may mean dedicating time on a regular basis to your mobility, your stretching, and that might seem a little less, exciting. And to think about it that, gosh, the work never ends. But I think being patient and knowing that there is going to be work to be done, why don't we incorporate some magic and bring some love into that situation so that the work is enjoyable for us? It's not always going to be blissful work, but at least we can say that we have put in our best. Was that it? Was that the intention that I missed? Doing our best? Maybe that's a good place to close. I wish for us, I wish for you, and for myself to take on the mindset that we are doing our best. I think that could be interpreted by some as saying that we're being complacent, but I don't think so. I think it allows us to be patient and forgiving if need be. But if we're going into a mindset saying, I'm going to do my best, we may bring even a little extra oomph if we feel like we're entering different situations, different goals, different projects with our best. And our best, this was wisdom that was given to me, our best will vary from day to day. Sometimes our best is 11 out of 10. And sometimes our best is 0.5 out of 10. I think it's bringing what you can and feeling like you've acted with integrity and what you can feel good with at the end of the day. It's about knowing that you've given a good effort with what you had in the tank that day. So I wish for us to come into the new year with our best, and that will change from day to day. Our best is within us. I know it's funny when we talk about not wanting to compare ourselves to others. I think there is valuable information in looking at what we may want to learn or resemble in others, but I think that kindness, that self-love can really come from recognizing the progress we've made from yesterday, from last week, and saying, this is consistent. I am doing my best. I am my best always. And I am okay. I am love. You are love. This might have just been jibber jabber. But if anything, I just hope that your new year is filled with love and with peace and with joy. Thank you for going on this ramble with me, and I hope that you are well. I hope that you do well. I'm wishing you all the very, very best in the days